All right, let's just jump right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're tackling something that is absolutely crucial for your biology, nutrition, and overall performance. We're talking about amino acids. Now, if you've spent any time around the fitness world, you've definitely heard them called the building blocks of protein. But honestly, we kind of need to toss that standard gym bro idea out the window today. Because they aren't just simple bricks for building bigger biceps. As you're going to see, they are literally the biological raw materials for your entire operating system.
So, right off the bat, I want you to reconsider that assumption. Are amino acids just for building muscle? The answer is a hard no. To give you a better way to think about it, if proteins are the actual physical bricks used to build a house, the amino acids are the raw materials used to make those bricks in the first place. We're talking the clay, the sand, the water. Without those raw materials, you don't get the bricks, and you definitely don't get the house.
Their biological scope is actually mind-blowing. When amino acids link together, they form proteins and peptides, which then convert into enzymes and hormones that control basically every single structure in your body. We are talking about repairing damaged tissues, producing vital hormones, creating the neurotransmitters that allow your brain to even function, supporting your immune system, and generating energy. They literally keep your internal organs, your skin, your hair, and your joints healthy. The list just goes on and on.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start from the ground up with structure and chemistry, then we'll organize them into the 4 chemical categories. After that, we'll break down essential versus non-essential needs, move into targeted health optimization, and cap it off with practical diet and supplementation.
Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, Structure and Chemistry, specifically the R group blueprint. To really get how these molecules work their magic, we have to look at their chemical foundation. Specifically, a really vital structural master key known as the R group.
So every single amino acid shares a basic core structure, which is just a carboxyl group attached to a hydrogen atom. But because of that attached R group, amino acids develop totally distinct personalities. For example, the R group dictates whether an amino acid is hydrophobic, meaning it absolutely hates water and loves fat, or hydrophilic, meaning it loves water and hates fat. And this chemical preference dictates exactly how they physically behave inside your body's proteins. It determines whether they dive deep into the core of a protein to hide from the water, or if they sit right on the outside to interact with your body's fluids.
Which brings us to Section 2, the 4 chemical categories. Let's see how we actually organize the 20 standard amino acids based on those chemical quirks we just talked about.
Out of the 20 standard amino acids that build human proteins, we group them into 4 main categories. First, you've got the non-polar or hydrophobic ones. Those are the water haters that usually hide inside the protein structure to hold it together. Second, the polar or uncharged amino acids, which play really nice with water and are super common in cell signaling. Third, we have the acidic, negatively charged ones, which are absolute game changers for your metabolism. And finally, the positively charged category, which naturally binds to negatively charged molecules in your body, like your DNA.
Let's look at some of the heavy hitters from those first 2 categories. Each one has a highly specialized job. Take leucine. It's incredibly important because it directly stimulates muscle protein synthesis through a pathway called mTOR. Then there's glycine. It's literally the smallest amino acid we have, but it is heavily relied on for collagen production, meaning it's vital for your skin, tendons, and joints. Next up is glutamine. This is the primary fuel for your intestinal and immune cells, and it gets massively depleted when you get sick. And finally, tyrosine, which is the precursor to dopamine and adrenaline. So yeah, it's directly tied to your focus, alertness, and how well you handle stress.
Now shifting over to the acidic and positively charged performers, we find the molecules running your brain and blood. Glutamate is super fascinating. It's the primary excitatory neurotransmitter in your brain, essentially acting like the gas pedal. But it's also the precursor to GABA, which is your body's main calming neurotransmitter, the brakes. Then you have arginine, which you've probably seen in sports supplements because it creates nitric oxide to dilate your blood vessels and boost circulation. And lysine, a positively charged molecule that is absolutely crucial for overall physical growth, tissue repair, and cross-linking your collagen.
All right, let's jump to Section 3, Essential versus Non-Essential Needs. Now that we know what these 20 standard amino acids actually do, we need to talk about the hierarchy of how your body gets its hands on them.
When you break down the math of these 20 amino acids, a very clear hierarchy pops up. 9 of them are strictly essential. That means they absolutely 100% must come from your diet because your body cannot manufacture them on its own. 5 of them are non-essential, meaning your body is perfectly capable of making them internally under normal day-to-day conditions. But then,
there's this really interesting middle ground. 6 of them are what we call conditionally essential.
So what does conditionally essential actually mean? Well, usually your body can handle making them just fine, but when you get hit with severe, intense stress, your biological demand suddenly shoots way past your supply. Think about going through a massive growth spurt, fighting off a bad illness, recovering from physical trauma, or just dealing with insane physiological stress. Your body literally can't keep up the production. Suddenly, you're forced into a state where you have to get these specific amino acids, like glutamine or tyrosine, directly from your food or supplements in order to recover.
And that perfectly tees up Section 4, Targeted Health Optimization. We're shifting gears from the structural biology side of things to the actual biological payoff. How do we practically use these molecules for everyday health?
You can actually map specific amino acids directly to the exact systemic payoff you're looking for. Want to optimize muscle growth and recovery? Your main targets are the branch-chain amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, and valine, along with glutamine. What if you want to optimize your mood and neurotransmission? You need to make sure you're getting plenty of tryptophan, glutamate, and tyrosine. And for connective tissue, your skin, your joints, you're going to lean heavily on glycine, proline, cysteine, and lysine. You are basically handpicking the precise raw materials for whatever biological repair job you want to trigger.
Now, when it comes to blood flow and physical performance, the main targets are arginine and citrulline. But there is a really cool little caveat here. While arginine is the key player for making nitric oxide and boosting circulation, taking a direct arginine supplement isn't actually all that effective because your body clears it out extremely fast. The workaround, you take its precursor, citrulline. Now, citrulline isn't technically a standard amino acid, but your body converts it into arginine, providing a much longer-lasting performance effect. It's a great little biohack.
Let's bring it all home with Section 5, Practical Diet and Supplementation. The big question we always get is, who actually needs to go out of their way to supplement these raw materials?
Look, for the average person, hitting an adequate daily protein target from a bunch of varied, high-quality sources like different types of meats, supplementation isn't really a must. You're almost certainly getting enough amino acids. However, there are specific groups who can see massive benefits from targeted supplementation. We're talking about the elderly, athletes who are just punishing their bodies, people operating in chronic high-stress states, folks on extreme or highly restrictive diets, and anyone actively recovering from an illness or trauma. For these people, targeted amino acids bridge a critical gap when their body's demand is just way higher than their dietary supply.
So, I'm going to leave you with a final thought to chew on today. Are you still treating your daily protein as just a macronutrient? Just a number you're trying to hit on a fitness app? Or are you starting to view it as targeted biological code for your longevity? Because once you realize that the food you eat contains the literal chemical instructions for your brain, your tissues, and your immune system, it completely changes how you look at your plate. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I hope it gives you a fresh perspective on the absolute marvel of machinery inside your own body. See you next time.